Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is China Now with your gang of two, Michael Olson and Nan Su, and of course you. And we're so happy to have you here today. And if I could figure out how to shut this thing off, it'll be great. There, I shut it off. But there. So, yes, rumors. So many rumors. And the closer we get to the big September 3rd parade, the closer we get to the October 4th plenum, the more the rumors swirl. And it's almost like steaming into a typhoon, which I once did. The waves get bigger and stronger and meaner. And when you get to the eye of the typhoon, it's quiet. And then you have to go out the other side too. I wonder if the rumor cycle is going to be like that. I wonder if the rumors are going to become increasingly, I don't know, virulent as we get closer to those two dates. And then maybe when all of the decisions are made, there won't be many rumors. And then when things start to head off in the other direction, whatever that may be, then the rumors will come again. What do you think, Nan Su?
I'm not figuring that out yet.
Okay, not figuring that. Well, one of the things that you've always detested, I think, are rumors, because you were raised with it, like rumors. Everybody has rumors. And I wondered, you know, here in the United States, we have rumors, of course, but we also have a free press, at least comparatively so. It's a free press. Somebody here's a rumor, you can track it down and say, well, is this true or not? Not so much in the CCP. Is that correct?
Well, there are rumors, but it really depending on who you hear that from. I don't trust any of those so-called internet medias, so they don't have to take any responsibility.
And that's where, of course, the most interesting rumors are flying.
I don't trust any of them,
mm-hmm.
And I only listen to my own channel, and I have my own channel. And also, you know, you make a reasonable assessment of the situation in China, and that's how I, make assessment of the situation. Nowadays those internet so-called online influencers, they're just way too much. I don't see any. You cannot trace any of their source. The problem is you cannot trace any source, then you're not able to verify if what they tell you is true or not.
Well, that's always the problem, is that how do you verify a rumor when there's no competition for the news, where there's only one source of news that's approved, and that's the source approved by the government, and that's it. So who do you check in with to see if the rumor is true or not, when the official media won't post anything, or will deny everything, as they tend to do? So that's what makes rumors interesting. I once lived on a Navy ship for a year, and there was always rumors, but because there were a lot of people living in a real small place. And so it didn't take long for a rumor to go from one end of the ship to the other. I suspect it's a lot like that in China too. And unless there's somebody there to verify it, what do you do?
No, there's a difference. You live in the ship, at least. Now, the rumors that, we recently heard about China, They're not inside. It's not the Chinese people who can hear this.
That's correct.
It's only people outside of China who can hear it.
Why is that?
And then the problem is the communist regime has a lot of different factions inside. They all trying to fight, to ultimately, maximize their own group's interests on the coming force plenary meeting.
Right.
So they are using all these outside of China influencers to for their own interests, for different factions interests. But they are not. But they all are part of the Communist Party, though. They are fighting, the power struggle inside the Communist Party against each other. But it doesn't matter who will take the power.
Because they're communists.
It's still going to be a communist regime in China. It doesn't change anything. To me, to Americans, to the people who care about our future generations' lifestyles, those rumors doesn't mean anything. I think we should dedicate our time and energy to focus on building up our military strengths to prepare for the worst.
Well, I think, with all due excuse me, with all due respects, the best way to do that is to encourage people to watch video from the September 3 military parade in Beijing. And if people will actually spend some time to watch what's going on there and give a consideration to the implications of what's in those soldiers' eyes, then I think we will have done more to wake people up than I don't know how else you could do it. I mean, we can sit here and talk about how you got to build your military, and be, as truthful as we possibly can. But it's easier to go buy a ship from China because it's a lot cheaper. And so until people see the intent in the eye of the CCP, I don't know what we can do. And I guess one way of getting to it is with rumors once in a while. The people, the rumor mills that I watch, and I'm pretty discriminating on them, seem to be ardently anti-CCP. And
well, maybe they're not truly anti-CCP. That they're just CCP inside, the different factions inside CCP trying to fight for more and interest on, or become more powerful, inside the CCP. It's just not really, it's always happened. It's just like, here in the United States, we have Republican election. We have Democrats against a Republican. They're fighting against each other.
Sure.
You listen to all this conspiracy, but however, it doesn't matter who wins the election. We are still America. So over there, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter who controls the Communist Party. It's still a Communist Party.
As long as it's the Communist Party, as long as it's the Communist Party, there is no change.
Still look at United States as the number one enemy.
Yeah. So Nansu's point is well taken. Build your military and plan on fighting to survive, because the fight is going to come, and if you watch the parade, you'll see who's going to come, and it ain't pretty. Nor are those 6-story tall submarines that can lay in wait forever. It's all frightening. Yes, it is. So you spoke of factions in Beijing, and I suppose it's very similar in some respects to the Republicans and Democrats. And, on the Republicans, you have conservative Republicans, and then you have liberal Republicans, and then same is true with the Democrat Party. You have ardently liberal Democrats, and then middle of the road Democrats. They used to call them blue dog Democrats. Well, in watching the rumor mill videos that I see, in a kind of a consensus, I see the point being made that there are 4 factions fighting for control of the CCP. And they are deadlocked at this time as to who will be the leader going forward. And the rumor that I'd like to put on the table is that they are so deadlocked, they only have one way out. And that is with a secret election of the next leader. Now, that to me, well, of course you have a secret election, but not so much maybe within the CCP, because it's a consensus-driven organization where you kind of meet together and you make up your mind and you say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and why bother voting on it when we all agreed? So, from what I understand, the deadlock between the factions is such that they have to have a secret ballot. Now, as Nansu would say, that's a rumor. It's an unsubstantiated rumor that is floating around. So we don't know. But what it indicates to me is that there may well be a lot of divisiveness in the CCP's deliberations as we go forward here. I would like to pick up these factions, if I might, Nansu, and put them on the table for a brief discussion. One of them is the Maoist faction of the CCP, which of course is run by Xi Jinping right now. He is the one that wants to go back to the total central authority of Mao Zedong. And that's exactly what he's been doing over the past umpteen years. And in a very interesting way, he's making the same big blunders as did Chairman Mao, with his great leap forward, his cultural revolution, and so on. Nansu, is that a fair summation?
Yeah, he is literally going back to Chairman Mao's ideology. That's what it is.
Right. So, total centralized authority, embodied in the chairman and nobody else.
That's right.
And that's been the Xi Jinping of recent years. Now, there are others in the CCP that are looking at what has happened consequent to having that centralized authority and saying, maybe not. And they would be the reformers. We have to liberalize in the spirit of Deng Xiaoping and go back to working with the rest of the world. Do you know who would be leading that wing, Nansu?
I don't see any.
You don't see anybody heading back in that direction. Nobody wants to be a Deng Xiaoping and rescue China from the central authorities. Well,
no, I'm not. First of all, I think that's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
That the Deng Xiaoping actually, if people think Deng Xiaoping actually, if people think that Deng Xiaoping actually tried to end that. I think that's a misunderstanding what Deng Xiaoping tried to do here. So what Deng Xiaoping tried to do it's not to it's not what you think he's doing. He's not trying to lose the control. Okay.
Okay. So he's not trying to be a decentralized authority. He's trying to be a centralized authority with a smile on his face.
No.
Because that's how he talks us out of all of our money.
No. That's not true at all. Okay.
Okay.
If Deng Xiaoping is that kind of a guy, he wouldn't send the tank to Tiananmen Square.
Okay. But he did come to the United States with a big smile on his face and get all of our money.
Which is true. He come here, but he is not for democracy. So if anybody who thinks Deng Xiaoping is doing the reform because he wants a democracy, that's just the wishful thinking.
Yes. Well, with respect to reformers, one of the principal point being put forward by them is that we have to, as a party, get back to consensus decision-making, which is to say, instead of one guy sitting on the couch at night making up decisions, it has to be a committee sitting around a table making the decisions. So the reformers are always preaching consensus authority, which we're working together here to lead. It's not just one person. And that would be the reform that they're trying to make. They're not trying to end they're not trying to bring democracy in. They're just trying to figure out how to make this work so you don't have one person making all the decisions and having half of those decisions be stupid ones.
No, I don't think that's the argument.
Oh.
It's not the argument. If you're just thinking about how to manage the government, one body, one person, either what it's if you're just thinking the problem is the debate between one person making decision or many or the whole nations of voters making decision. I think that's an entirely wrong starting point of analyzing the problem of China. It's not how to manage the government. It's the ideology. It's the ideology of communist ideology, and I think
in what respect though? What is the ideology that you're talking about? What is the ideology of the Chinese Communist Party, other than control?
I think first of all, Americans, I think this is how often Americans make the mistake. They think this is about how government manages the issue, but which is totally not true. The communist ideology is an ideology against the humanity, while the democracy is the ideology that pays respect to the humanity. So we are talking about if an ideology that's against the humanity that's going to rule China, or if it's an ideology that's going to pay respect to humanity in China. So I think this is the argument.
Okay.
And that's why that's how we need to straight out, because once you realize if it's the Communist Party, the ideology against the humanity, that's going to rule the country with the second biggest population in the world, and we actually help that population become industrialized. That's how people are going to realize how much a threat is facing us.
There you go. I agree with you there. But with respect to running the Chinese Communist Party, the reformers would not be somebody who's saying we are going to be the party of humanity anymore, because we're not. We're going to be the party of control. So That's where they're going. So with respect to being reformers, all they want to do is reform how you run the Communist Party. That's their goal. And their goal is saying, well, we need to be more consensus. We can't have this dictator running everything all the time. Now, the other one, another party, is the party of the Preservationists, which are those who, at all cost, just want to maintain peace within the party and keep the party going. And I believe that is led by Jintao. And it also includes...
There's no Hu Jintao. That's just wishful thinking. Hu Jintao is gone. There's no Hu Jintao. This is total rumor. That is the wishful thinking.
Oh, okay. All right. I love it.
This is... Now, Hu Jintao, the maximum distance Hu Jintao will go to the reform direction. It's not going to supersede the Deng Xiaoping. And just
no, you're right. You're right. You're right.
And Deng Xiaoping sent a tank to Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
We're talking about the humanity here. So what's the difference between even there is a Hu Jintao and Xi Jinping? There's no difference.
Only with respect. Only with respect to.
Also, Hu Jintao was in power for 10 years. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And what's the reason that people will think if now he go back to the power, he's got a dementia, and he, I don't know.
Well, no, I think this is not really. This is a factional infighting within the CCP. That's what I'm trying to get a look at.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are just the different factions looking for more power.
That's correct.
It.
That's correct. You're exactly right. And I think Hu Jintao, or so the rumors go, is leading those who want to preserve the Chinese Communist Party, because they sense, for one reason or another, that things are kind of spiraling out of control and things might completely fall apart. We might lose the CCP. And the interesting,
good, right?
Yeah,
that's good, right?
And so
if they actually go down the spiral, isn't that good?
And there you go. If
well, see, if Xi Jinping is the leading Communist Party going down the spiral, isn't that good?
That's good.
To us.
Well, that's good to us, but not to the factions fighting.
Not good to Hu Jintao's faction. That's it.
That's correct. And so that's why there is a faction that's trying what they think they can do to preserve the Chinese Communist Party, period. And then the final faction, or the fourth faction of this tug of war over what comes next, is the military. And what was it that Chairman Mao said back in 1936? He said, political power comes from the barrel of a gun. So in all respects, the CCP owns the People's Liberation Army. But in reality, the People's Liberation Army owns the CCP. Now, Xi Jinping had total control of the Chinese military up until a couple of years ago. And then General Zhang Youxia stepped forward. I think it was during Xi Jinping's stroke, or maybe it was. That's a rumor, and it's just a rumor, of course. But that was the rumor. Xi Jinping had a stroke. Zhang Youxia stepped in and started clearing house of all of Xi's military. All of the military that he put together to invade Taiwan. The whole thing. The rumor has it that Zhang Youxia even got rid of Xi Jinping's administrative assistant, his chief of staff. nothing left. So in effect, the Chinese military is now in control of everything. So whose side are they on? Don't know.
Now, tell you what, it's whose side they're on. It's clear when you go to September 3rd, whoever is standing there viewing the military parade.
There you go. And
that's Xi Jinping. That's not going to be Zhang Youxia, I can tell you now.
Should we bet on that one? That seems like a fun bet.
Yeah. I bet. I'll bet wherever you want to bet.
All right.
Except with one exception. If Xi Jinping die with a stroke. And I'm hoping, he come back from the Tibet, he will have a stroke, and then he wouldn't be able to attend the military parade. Or whatever, something happened to him, and so, he just go die. And I truly have that. If he doesn't die, he's going to be the one to view the military parade. That's it.
Okay. So what makes you think that's the case?
Common sense. Okay. All these rumors, they are baseless. Just common sense. We can bet, September 3rd, it's just like 2 weeks away. We'll see,
I think we should bet a breakfast on that one.
Okay. All right. Just prepare. I'm going to pick place this time.
All right. So,
everybody hear it, okay?
Okay.
The preference, if Xi Jinping goes to view the military parade on September 3rd.
Well, wait a minute. He could do one of two things, though. He could view it from the podium, or he could review the troops. I'll bet that Xi Jinping is not going to review the troops. I'll bet he'll be standing in the podium with Vladimir Putin.
No. I think he's going to first view the troops, and then he will. The standard process, this is the standard process for the military parade.
Right.
Okay. The standard process is going to be a military general who will prepare all the military and make it all ready, and then he will go to the podium. He will salute to Xi Jinping and say the military is ready for your inspection or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Xi Jinping will come down from Tiananmen Square, the podium, and then he will standing on a convertible,
He'll review the troops.
Yeah, he will view the troops, and then he will go back to the podium. Probably there was an elevator there, for him to go back up, and then he was standing there. Then the troops is going to start marching. So that's the standard process.
Okay. I'll bet it changes. I'll bet Xi Jinping will not get in the convertible and make the inspection.
Okay. If that happens, I will take you to breakfast. I will be happy to see that happen, because that means what? That means Xi Jinping is not able. Yep. His health condition doesn't allow him to standing up, in the convertible and to view all the troops before he speak at the podium. If I see that happen, I will be very happy to go to any, restaurant. You want Michelin, that's fine. I'll be happy to pay for that. I'll be happy.
All right, that's a bet. We have a bet going. We've haven't made too many bets, but that's one of them. And I'm making my bet on just the sense that Xi Jinping no longer controls the military. And I don't.
I'm betting, his military is still under Xi Jinping's control. Okay, so, and I think Xi Jinping's if Xi Jinping also I think if Xi Jinping put the Chinese Communist Party down the spiral, go down, that's a good thing for America.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the reason I think he's not in control is that he no longer has his people in key positions within the military. They're gone.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It never happened in the entire history of Chinese Communist Party. It just never happened. The party is loyal to the military. The military loyal to the party. That's their faith. That's their religion.
Right.
I mean, even Xi Jinping doesn't go down to drive, standing up the convertible, which only means his health situation doesn't allow him to do that. But it's still the military. It's still the military religion that the Chinese Communist Party has the control of the military.
That's right. The Chinese.
They now like Xi Jinping, but they are not going to against him. That's the key.
Okay, and that's the bet. That's the bet we're making.
As long as he doesn't, standing in the car in the convertible, view the military, that means his health is really bad. I will be still happy to take you to the restaurant.
All right, good enough. Well, let's move on. I do have some more rumors, and some of them are pretty good. Following up on your report that he was up in Tibet, and from what I saw, he wasn't looking too good. But one of the rumors is that his health report or his physical examination has been leaked. This, of course, is a rumor, and that of his 6 major bodily functions, each one of them have red flags saying that he is in very poor health and, in fact, contracted cancer last year. And that would explain the 27 days he was missing before he turned up in Tibet. The rumor is that he was in the 301 hospital, which is where the Chinese Communist mucky-mucks go when they're having their physicals in their hospital or whatnot. But Xi Jinping was missing for, I don't know, some reports say 25, some say 27 days. But then, just like an angel, he came down in Tibet, of all places, and put on a show of walking very slowly and very amiably along the parade, a very short parade route. But there he was. That's one rumor that may or may not be true. But one of my favorite rumors, I call it "Heaven is watching." Do you remember who said "Heaven is watching"? Nansu?
I don't.
It was the last words of Li Keqiang, who, of course, was the premier.
He is a communist leader. Li Keqiang is a communist leader.
Yep.
See, this is the problem for a lot of people. They are just simply put the hope for another communist leader to replace Xi Jinping. To me, that's hopeless. To me, that's hopeless.
Well, you've convinced me that it's hopeless too. Because I
think the only hope is we are strong enough to defend the peace. So that peace, if we have very, very super strong military and we are able to defend the peace, and then just let Chinese people,
make their decision.
Wait for the Chinese people to rise up to finish the regime instead of hoping just one communist leader will turn out better than another. That's just hopeless hope. That's a hopeless wish, I would say.
And yet, I guess it's what a lot of people put some hope in. Maybe that there's somebody will come along and turn back.
And that's why I said it's the people who has this false hope, and they are trying to, spread around the rumors that was actually made by one small faction of the Communist Party who try to get more power inside of the party, and then all these people with false hope that's actually spreading around the rumors. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Well, turning back to Li Keqiang, who was the premier of China, and in many respects, who was the opposite of Xi Jinping,
He is not opposite of Xi Jinping. I totally think that's Li Keqiang's faction. That you're trying to spread the Li Keqiang's faction's word. That's why I say this hope is also entirely false.
Well, let me follow up on the rumor here because it's pretty interesting. And what happened to Li Keqiang? What Li Keqiang did is stood up in public and said a big percentage of the Chinese people are starving to death. And that was contrary to the public relations marketing efforts put forth by Xi Jinping. And so when he was actually retired premier, he was out of politics. And he, according to this rumor, and the rumor even has an operation number 23107. Under that operation, that executive order issued by Xi Jinping was to assassinate Li Keqiang because people were becoming too enamored with his politics and his way of doing business. And they liked him and they didn't like Xi Jinping. And so Xi Jinping got rid of him. They heart attacked him in a party hotel and took him to a party hospital. And that was the end of him. Now, the rumor is that Li Keqiang's widow is petitioning the government for a full investigation of Li Keqiang's death, reminding everybody, including us, of Li Keqiang's final words: "Heaven is watching."
Let me tell you what Li Keqiang doesn't believe heaven. He's a communist.
He's a communist. And communist. Why would a communist say heaven is watching?
No. That's from Chinese culture. So Chinese culture, they from the Taoist philosophy. They, if you look at the way, how Taoist philosophy is, it's very similar to the idea of classical liberalism. What those people believe. They believe there's a creator. They just don't know who the creator is. Basically, that's the way it is. So that's traditional Chinese culture, Taoist philosophy. That's why the tradition Chinese culture have tremendous similarity with American culture. And because they all found the same thing, they all believe there's a creator, and they're just trying to find out who their creator is. Now, Li Keqiang doesn't do that, but it's just the traditional language they're using. But they don't actually truly believe heaven. They die, they go to see Chairman Mao and Karl Marx. That's what they often say.
Yeah. There you go. Wouldn't that be a joy? St. Peter, let me in. I want to see Karl Marx. Okay. But at any rate, going back to the factions, I guess Li Keqiang would have been considered a reformer, whereas Xi Jinping would have been the Maoist, the centralized authority. But and so that's what happens. That's how they vote often, If you're on the wrong side, well, you just get disappeared. And so many Chinese military people have got disappeared over the last 2 years. It seems like every week that we get together to do China Now, there's another batch of them that get dispatched somehow. They're just disappeared. Now, here's a rumor that you might like. And this rumor is attributed to General Zhang Youxia. He accused Xi Jinping of graft, of embezzling trillions of yuan and stashing them away in Australia and Thailand. And he's also accusing Xi Jinping's wife, who is Peng Li Yuan, of having an affair with some of her associated CCP members. So those are weird kinds of rumors for the chairman of the CCP Military Commission to be spreading about the chairman of the CCP. So if such is indeed the case, if these kind of rumors are being spread, this is an existential fight between Xi Jinping and Zhang Youxia. Now, is that a fair summation, Nansu?
No, I don't see that. But I'd be happy to see that too, fight against each other. You know, I said, as I said last time, either Xi Jinping kill Zhang Youxia or Zhang Youxia kill Xi Jinping. It's better for us to deal with one of them instead of dealing both of them together. So I'm happy to see, you know, either way it happens. But however, I'm a journalist. To go back to those rumors,
right?
I actually check on those rumors, and there's no way to verify those rumors.
Well, I agree with you, because the numbers associated with the amount of money that Xi was said to have misappropriated are simply impossible to believe. So I did not believe them.
They probably have a lot of money, you know, and also think about this. This is the bottom line, how to look at the situation in China. It doesn't matter which faction of the communist leaders, okay, they are going to take power. All these different factions, communist leaders, their families, their children, and their relatives, they have made tens of tons of money, tons and tons of money. And that's why, you know, it doesn't matter which faction's leader to actually take control of the Communist Party. They all want the Communist Party's ruling power to continue.
Sure.
Because they... That's why I think there's no difference. You say Li Keqiang, you know, it seems like the way people say, oh, Li Keqiang, you know, want to reform. You know, well, first of all, Li Keqiang, if you go actually check Li Keqiang's family or his relative, I bet his family make tens of thousands of millions of money, you know, tons and tons and tons of money. I'm 100% for sure. Now,
probably because he did become the premier, and so
it doesn't. So that's why it doesn't matter. The people, you know, it's pay attention. They're watching things too closely. They get themselves lost. That's the way it is.
So those people who are making tons and tons and tons of money, and I'm thinking principally of the Jiang Zemin faction, because they were the ones that really did business on a big scale. But all of them are party preservationists to one extent or another. Now,
that's right. That's the only common ground for Jiang Zemin, Deng Xiaoping, Li Keqiang, Li Qiang, Xi Jinping, Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao. All of them they have only one thing in common, and that thing never changes. It's to keep the ruling power of Communist Party.
Right. And
so that will never change. And why do we care who is the leader?
Because we're looking for a break in the action. We're looking for a ray of hope. And I agree with you. The hope is not going to come from the Chinese Communist Party. It's only going to come.
I think the only hope it's when the Chinese people. I believe that's the mandate of heaven for the Chinese people to throw away the last stronghold of communism on this earth. And the only way for this to happen is if we have the capacity to keep the peace all around the world, outside of China. So if we are not able to do that, then you're not going to see the Chinese people to.
You will see.
We'll not be able to wait for the Chinese people to rise up against the regime.
Oh, that brings me to my last rumor that you'll love, I'm sure. Speaking of the Chinese people, the rumor is that Xi'an, which is the former imperial capital of China, is, or has gone cashless. No more paper money or dollars. It's all on your cell phone now. Everything that you buy, every move you make is digitized and on your file. Everything.
Yep, that's true. That's what happened in China now. There are still cash, but most of people, majority of people, I would say probably 99% of people don't use cash anymore. It's just too easy. Your cell phone, and also, the Chinese communist regime, they are able to tie your bank account with your social credit score. They know your standpoint against the government or in favor of government, and your bank account, your checking account, your cell phone, and then all the cell phones are registered by real name and real address. That's required. So basically, and nowadays everybody carrying the cell phone, so they know exactly how you spend every penny of your money. And they know exactly who you are with and the different time of the day, and they know exactly what you buy and who you gave the money to. So that's how scared it is in China. So that's how tight the control is.
And that's why when we look at who's marching in that parade on September 3 in Beijing, look into the eyes of those soldiers, and you can see an incredible intensity there, and the rigid conformity. Woo! So, given the amount of control the CCP has over its people, that it knows what you eat, when you eat it, where you eat it, who you run around with. They know everything about you. Everything. Vis-a-vis your cell phone and the electronic bytes of information that emanates from it. Wow. Well, I don't know, Nansu. We have a few minutes left. And we're coming up against the September 3rd parade, in which you and I have a bet. If Xi Jinping is not in the convertible reviewing the troops, if he's up in the stadium on the platform with Vladimir Putin, then I win the bet. And if he's in the convertible,
I'll be happy. I'm hoping I'm going to lose. That's what it is. I'm hoping I'm going to lose. Okay. And that means Xi Jinping's health is really having problem. He's going to die soon. So, at that point, see, I don't care who the communist leader is, but
Doesn't make any
if
difference.
He die, I'm still happy. I'm still happy to see he die. Okay, so for that I will take you to the breakfast.
Okay.
And now, but I think what's going to happen. That's from my standpoint, I think what's going to happen. He's going to do the whole thing. He's going to standing in the convertible, view the military first, and then go back up. Take the elevator, go back up to the podium. That's the second story of the Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden Palace building. And then he's going to standing there, go back to while Putin is waiting there. He will go back there, standing with Putin, and then the military start marching. I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, and that's the bet. And what do you folks think out there? Who do you think will stand in the convertible? It's a very interesting question to consider.
Michael, comparing with going to Tibet, standing in the convertible is a much easier task for him. Mm-hmm. Unless the trip of going to Tibet really destroy his health. I hope that's what happens.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going into a very, very incredibly serious time for China these next 2 months, September and October. September, the parade, October, the fourth plenum. And, pretty much the future will be determined in this short period of time. Now, if you're of the mind of Nan-Su and increasingly myself, doesn't really make any difference as to who the leader of the Chinese Communist Party is, because the Chinese Communist Party rules everything in China. It rules every move you make. It knows everything about you. And if you are not behaving, you could easily find yourself becoming a body part donor. And it doesn't take much of a mistake to find yourself there. That is, what makes the rumors swirl and makes them interesting. Trying to figure out what's going to happen. Maybe there will come a time where the people, like Nan-Su says, will see their heavenly mandate and stand up and fight back the CCP and take their freedom back. Who knows? That's what we're watching for. That's why every week, right here on the radio, we look across that broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? It's a conflict, and like Nan-Su insists, it is an existential conflict in which the winner will likely take all. And there is no way of sugarcoating that fact. But this is China Now. Nan-Su and Michael Olson, we thank you all for tuning in.